Welcome, everybody, to episode 144 of Disney with the Ducks. Tonight, you've got John Crawl with you, and that's me. I'm also joined by a couple of my friends, Jody.
Hi, friends.
And Jeff.
Hey, everybody.
So we've got some fun things to talk about tonight. But before we get to that, we do want to ask you to go out and give us a 5-star review or 5-star rating and a good review on your podcatcher of choice. It really helps us and helps other people find us. Also, if you want to come over to the Disney with the Ducks Facebook page and join our group over there and have some fun discussions and maybe share some pictures of some trips you've got with your family when you come back and share some of the details there, it'll be super fun. But also share your favorite episode with your friends. They'll thank you. We'll thank you. You're really just adding more joy into the world. Jody's just doing gang signs to make things pop up in the background.
I did one. I'm like, I did a new one, and I got balloons, and I couldn't remember what it was, so I had to figure it out again.
I like the balloons. All right. So tonight, before we get going, we're going to ask a question to kind of get to know each other better and let our listeners get to know us a little better. So tonight's question is, if you could be friends with any character in the Disney parks, who would you be friends with and why? So, Jeff, let's start with you. What are you picking?
I would probably go with Dopey. I think he would just be a fun little dwarf to run around with and have fun. And we chased him around the 4 parks several times. So I think it'd be fun for him to have to chase us around a little bit.
And you got your Dopey hat on. So it makes sense. Yeah. He'd probably appreciate that. I know when people show up wearing like crawl shirts, I love them even more. So, you know. Jody, what about you? Who are you going with?
I would like to be Gus from Cinderella because he's rare, not out too often, so wouldn't have to work that hard. But I think also that because it's a rare character, everyone would be like, "Oh my gosh, it's Gus!" And so that would be really exciting.
That's a really good one too. I initially I wanted to pick Bandit from Bluey, but he's not in the parks. But he should be. They need a Bandit meet and greet. That's the one character I'd stand in line for. But I think the other thing that I would pick is Goofy. And similar reasons. I love the Goofy movies because I think Goofy is just such a fun dad. Like he goofs around with his kids. He's silly. He's funny. And that's kind of why I like Bandit too. Because like he's just got that connection with his kids that I think every dad wants to have. So that's going to be mine because I want to be more like those guys in real life. And I think hanging out with him would be super fun. Plus he's silly and I like that. So that's who I'm going with. But now we're going to talk about where you can go and meet actual characters at Walt Disney World. So that's going to be our discussion tonight is we're going to talk about some of the character dining, some of the meet and greet opportunities that you have. And we'll kind of go through that and tell you where you can go and meet some of these folks out in the real world at Disney, whether for you or your kids or maybe even both, you know, like in the case of Goofy. All right. So we could go kind of park by park if we want. And maybe we can start talking about like Magic Kingdom where we can meet some characters. To be honest, one of my favorite things to do, honestly, is meet characters at restaurants. I generally don't like waiting in line at all to meet characters. So, you know, some of the fun things that you don't really get to see a lot of Winnie the Pooh characters around Walt Disney World. But if you go to, I just forgot the name of the restaurant.
Crystal Palace.
Yes, that's right. If you go to Crystal Palace in the morning for breakfast, yeah, you can get in the park early. And this is what we like to do, get in as early of a reservation as possible, get in the park. And, you know, you get to see Tigger bouncing around. You get to see Piglet coming around to the tables. Winnie the Pooh, Eeyore's there. It's super fun. And my kids just, they dig it. They like the ride, but they also love meeting those characters. And like I said, that's just a fun way to do it without waiting in line because you're just eating.
It's
right?
the best way to do it. And
Yeah.
There are 3 places in Magic Kingdom. Does anyone know the other 2? Well, one, I'm going to give it a 2.5 to be technical.
So where else in Magic Kingdom can you meet characters?
For meals. Jeff, do you know?
Be Our Guest has kind of the walkthrough.
Yeah, that's the half.
That's the half one. But then you have Cinderella's Royal Table with the princesses to come around to see you.
Yes, that one is. Have you guys eaten there?
Yes.
It is so fun. Like I love it. We've gone for breakfast and dinner, And it's just so cool because they make like a big announcement when the princesses are coming, and they come around to the tables and they're super interactive. And I love that.
People always say like, "Oh, it's so expensive and the food's not all that good." I, Tim and I have really enjoyed our meals there. We've really liked it, and I think the princesses do a fabulous job there. I wish they would throw a prince in also. I think that would up the experience for people who may not just want to see the princesses. I mean, there are lots of people who would like to see both. So I wish that they would have at least a prince would show up. Doesn't even have to be one of the prince. This is really hard to say. One of the princes with the prince to match the princess. That's,
It's a tongue twister.
but anyway, I kind of wish that they would have a prince too. But I do think it's a great one, and I think it's a really cool way to see the princesses in a quick fashion.
Yeah, and especially like for little girls to get to see all of those princesses at one time. And I mean, little boys too, but I think like I've noticed with my own kids, my daughters get super into it. And then they have the boutique the Bippity Boppity boutique right across the hall. So you can get a princess makeover before or after, and then get pictures with the princesses. It's just amazing. It's super fun.
I agree.
When Riley was little, we were one of the first breakfast reservations there one morning, and she opened up the castle and got to be princess of the day and lead everybody up the staircase to the restaurant and got a little magic wand and everything. So
That's really cool.
it was a cool experience.
They do so many fun experiences like that where they give like a family or a veteran or, a little kid something fun to do like that. Like, yeah, just, it's so cool. It's one of the magical things about it. Main Street USA, there's the Town Square Theater. And after or before the marathon a couple years ago, I went with Joe and a bunch of others, and I think Julie was there and Laura, and it was just super fun. We went and met Mickey there, and that was super cool going in there and just kind of seeing him and taking a bunch of group pictures and stuff. Yeah, and that one's really fun because it's right there by the entrance, just to the right when you walk in, and there can be a long wait there, but if you go at the right time, you can get in there in like 10 minutes, which is awesome.
You can also see, speaking of princesses and princes, like we were talking about before, in Adventureland, John, it is your favorite. So maybe you should talk about her because we know that you kind of like this princess.
Jasmine?
Yes.
Princess Jasmine? She's one of my favorites. Yeah, that's true. And I like Aladdin a lot too. Like when you were saying earlier, I would like to see the prince with her. But getting some good one-on-one time with Jasmine is just good for the soul.
Yeah, it is.
And where is that, Jody?
It is right over near the Spitting Camel. So it's in Adventureland. Kind of in that right to the right. So if you're looking, like if you're coming from Main Street and you took the left and you're going down towards Adventureland, they tend to meet on the right-hand side there.
We've also
never seen her out.
Abu with him as well.
Oh wow!
Really?
Cool.
I've only seen Aladdin. I think during races is the only time I've seen Aladdin. But another cool one over in Adventureland is you can see Captain Jack Sparrow by the Pirates of the Caribbean, which is always super fun. Yeah. That one's really cool too. And then if you head over,
before we head over, I am gonna throw out a little tip real quick. So when the kids were little, I subscribed to this. It wasn't an app. It was a website that you could have a login password. It was like $6 a year or something. I don't know. It was called Character Locator by Kenny the Pirate. And it listed all the characters out. But what I loved about it, in particular when they were little, is it gave you interaction tips. So I find as an adult sometimes, like you go over to the character like, hi, how are you? You don't know what to say. So this, for example, gives you like a prompt. Let's say you're going to meet Aladdin, and you could say, what his most tell me what your most precious jewel is, or what's it like inside the Cave of Wonders, or ask them if they've ever flown in an airplane or something like that. So it gives you tips on how to interact with the characters. And I just think, not great for a race weekend when it's hi, take your photo, bye, but when you've got kids with you and maybe they're a little nervous and they don't know what to say, or quite frankly, when you're an adult and you don't know what to say, I found these, this website, because again, it's not an app, but it's like $6 a year. And I've never let my subscription go just because it's been helpful just to kind of see where the characters are. So anyway, a little plug for Kenny the Pirate, and the app, the thing is called Character Locator. So and I just think that's kind of a nice, helpful thing with those interaction tips.
Yeah, especially with those characters popping up all over the place, right? It's nice
Yeah.
to kind of see where they're at.
Yeah.
That's
When we
really
were
cool.
little, when the kids were little, we were obsessed with the characters. I mean, we would go, I think we went to Animal Kingdom for the sole purpose of just seeing Pocahontas. So, you know, it's one of those, like, you know, it's nice to have something to do once you see those characters.
Yeah, it is super cute how the kids get so excited about the characters. Or you can have the opposite effect, where they're horrified by it. And both of those are great family memories.
Yeah. And they make great
Yeah.
photos either way of a kid screaming and crying, or smiling and enjoying themselves.
Exactly. You get, as long as it's one of the two extremes, it's fun. Another place you can go as you kind of go back to like towards Fantasyland is the Princess Fairy Tale Hall, right by on the backside of the castle there, right by the carousel and everything. You can see like Rapunzel and Tiana, Cinderella's there. They used to have Elena of Avalor. I don't know if she's still there or not, but my girls loved that show, so we went there a few times back in the old Fast Pass days. Because, like I said, I'm not waiting in line for that, but I will use a Fast Pass for it. So, so that's really cool too, because you get that good interaction, and they'll actually talk to you for a minute or two.
Yeah.
So that's really neat.
And back in that area, oftentimes you'll see Anastasia and Drizella wandering around, which they're really fun if you catch them. They're the evil stepsisters. They're pretty fun.
They are super fun. They used to be at the Storybook Dining at 1900 Park Fair, or not Storybook Dining, I'm sorry, at 1900 Park Fair for dinner. And they would embarrass like tween boys so much. And I loved it because Caleb just turned bright red and like hit his face because they kept like just messing with him in a like really fun and playful way. It was cool.
Peter
But
Pan's
yeah,
been in that area some before too.
the which one?
Peter Pan has been in that area too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and those lines like they'll form really quick in that area because it's so busy too. So if you see them walking over there, kind of follow them and just get right in line as they're walking with their handler as they're taking coming back from a break. So that's really cool. There's a lot of good locations over there. You can also meet Ariel over at Ariel's Grotto. And that's always fun, especially, I am a big fan of the Little Mermaid, and so are all my kids, both the old one and the new one. So we love getting to meet Ariel and talk to her. And like you said, Jody, I mean, just you ask questions about like what it's like hanging out with Flounder, or, getting to come up to the surface and that type of stuff. It's fun.
Yeah. So some of the questions that they had here said, ask her if she's ever been in a race with Bruce the shark. Ask her if she would like to take a selfie picture. Ask her to make a fishy face when she's taking a picture with you. Ask her if you can become a mermaid. Offer Ariel a new dingle hopper fork. Like those are so again, they give you some things to ask her what her favorite human treasures are. I mean, she could really talk about that for a while. So I just thought that it was a nice tip. Like I sometimes again, you go up there like, hi, Ariel. Love your tail. I think that it's really awkward. Like, yay, now what? So just I always thought that this was kind of helpful. These little tips of interaction. I would give my kids like one or two prompts, and then they'd be like, "Oh, let's do that one." And they would ask. One of their favorite was to ask Tiana like how much hot sauce to put in the gumbo. That was one of their favorite questions to ask. So
That's so cool. Yeah, and she's such a good cook with her restaurant and everything.
yes.
Yeah. That's so cool. Another one that's really fun over in that area is, have you guys ever done Enchanted Tales with Belle?
Mm-hmm.
So she comes out and does the little show with you, and she always has like audience interaction and stuff. It's really fun. So that's a cool one.
Okay, I have a question for you, gentlemen. Were either or both of you chosen as the guard?
Yes.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Right.
Hey, a big strong man like ourselves, right? I mean, come on. How would you not pick Jeff Rod to defend you?
Exactly.
Little do they know, there's no defending happening. As soon as the stuff hits the fan, I'm running away. But I'll grab some kids maybe and just run with them under my arm. But that's about all you're gonna get from me. All right. Over in Tomorrowland, so Stitch sometimes makes roaming appearances in Tomorrowland. which is really cool. Um, Stitch is one of our family's favorite characters, but I've never actually seen him roaming around there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
Have
funny.
you
Lindsay,
guys?
yeah,
Oh,
Lindsay must
over at
always
the
see him.
stage.
Man, I've seen him in like the dance parties and stuff when they used to do those at night over there, but I've never seen him just walking around. And I'm super bummed about that when I read about it on the internet. And I knew it had to be true because it was on the internet, right?
I mean, seriously.
Yeah. Oh, have you guys met Merida? So we've seen her in that little walkway over by the teacups.
Yes.
And so they had a little alcove over there, and I don't think she's there anymore though.
I think they changed her.
They brought somebody else in.
They did.
But I'm bummed about that because she was one of my favorites. I love the music from that movie, and just she's like, a strong princess shooting a bow and stuff like that. I thought it was a good representation for my girls to see, like a warrior like that being out there.
They I can't remember who maybe Maribel they put there instead.
Oh, from Encanto?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I did hear she was coming there somewhere.
But yeah, I for whatever reason, Lindsay got really scared of oh my gosh, Merida and her like doing the sword or not the sword, but the bow and arrow thing. I don't know. It was really weird how yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. You never know what's going to freak out a kid related to characters. Sometimes it's seeing a 6-foot mouse freaks them out, and sometimes they love it. Let's see. Are there any other ones throughout? Where's a cool place that has different rotating characters? Like we've seen Mary Poppins there, I think, a few times. Is that there's like a little gazebo type area over by Crystal Palace. Off to the side if you're looking up Main Street to the right there.
Yeah, kind of squarish.
Yeah. Yeah, somewhere over there by that little bridge, where you can get the
that's where we saw Tiana.
Who?
Tiana.
Oh, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Man, Tiana is I've said this about a lot of characters. One of my kids' favorites, but I do have a lot of children, so there's that side of it.
Sometimes the country bears roam around Frontierland as well.
Yeah, they're really cool to meet too because they're just fun.
They're funny.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, so let's move on to talk about another park, and we'll go over to Epcot, and we can talk a little bit about some of the fun characters there.
Do we want to talk about the dining options first?
So Epcot's got some really cool dining experiences, but character-wise, it's cool to go to Garden Grill. And I think you guys both really like that place, right?
Yes.
So who are some of the characters we can see over at Garden Grill?
It has what? Farmer Mickey, Chip and Dale, and Pluto?
Yep.
Is that right?
That's who I remember being there.
So have you guys ever called Chip Dale and Dale Chip?
No.
Me neither, but I'm always nervous, so I don't use their names because I remember one of them has a red nose, right?
Well, Chip's nose is like a chocolate chip. It's black.
Like a chocolate chip.
That is an excellent way to remember it. Because I never wanted to call them by name because I didn't want to call them the wrong name and have them get upset with me and then take it out on my children.
Now you're never going to be able to undo it. You'll just think chocolate chip. Like you're
chip,
just
chocolate chip.
Yep.
Yeah. That's amazing.
See, the things you learn on this podcast.
I know, right? And there is a place you can see the princesses too over at Epcot at Akershus. Maybe Royal Banquet Hall. So that one is like fun. It's kind of like they have a bunch of Norwegian food. Like they have different types of fish and stuff there. It's a very interesting dining experience.
I have a question. Are those princesses only out at breakfast or do they do other meals? Does anyone know?
I've never been.
Oh, I'm pretty sure we've been there for dinner and that the princesses were there.
Okay. I would thought it was just breakfast, but I haven't been since Lindsay was like maybe 3. So it's been a little bit for a while. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're at both. I was just actually looking on the internets to see. And it doesn't say whether it's just one way or the other. But I do know like when you come in, you get your picture taken. Right. And that's really cool because they have the photo pass photographer there. But then they have the typical like experience of them coming around to the tables, which is also it's just really, it's a nice way to relaxed way to get to meet them. You're not fighting with other people for attention or anything, or you're worried about how much time you're taking, because they'll move on when they're ready. And it's so fun how they interact with everybody at the table.
And that's a one, if you can't get into Cinderella's royal table, not, don't think the world's coming to an end. There is another place where you can meet princesses at a dining location at a much cheaper option. So I think maybe I thought it was just breakfast because maybe that's the meal we chose to go to because I knew they'd have scrambled eggs and bacon and such that somebody would eat. So
Fair. Yeah, you got to worry about that stuff though, right? Taking little kids to a place like Cinderella's Royal Table, they might not want the fillet.
Yeah.
So,
and at that price.
right. Yeah. Here's your $300 macaroni and cheese.
So I find interesting at Epcot, again, thinking back to the time when Lindsay was little, is how many princesses are out in the World Showcase. I don't think that I realized that when we were kind of planning our trip when she was, again, teeny tiny. And that was the goal in life, was to see all the princesses. I was really like, oh, well, we won't probably go to Epcot because, they're not going to have a lot there. And then all of a sudden I did all this research and I was like, oh my gosh, there's princesses everywhere in Epcot. So that was something that was really surprising to me, back in the day, that I just didn't expect a lot of them to be there. And turns out they are.
Yeah, and it's super cool because they're like near the countries that they're most associated with, right? So, you'll see Belle over by France, and then in the UK, we've seen Alice and
Mary
Poppins, yeah, over there. It's really, really cool.
Winnie the Pooh as well. And
yeah,
it's not
he's been
princess,
over there.
but Winnie the Pooh's been over there too.
Yeah, it's so fun because you're in kind of their native land and they just pop up. So a lot of times it's, if you're lucky and you're walking by at the right time, you could catch it with a very short wait. But you do be aware though that they will tell you the characters take breaks. Which the first time when we were waiting in line for like 10 minutes and all of a sudden they're like, oh, Mickey has to go, take a break for a minute. And you're like, what the heck? And you're standing there stuck. So just be ready for that, especially on those hot days, because I can't imagine being one of those characters with kids climbing all over you when it's 98 and humid. So just props to those cast members who can pull that off. So yeah, so there's a lot of good opportunities to meet characters throughout the countries. But also, you know what else is at Epcot that I've been dying to talk about? For our friend Kevin, you can meet Figment. And it's awesome. It's in kind of where the DVC lounge is when you get off the Figment ride and you're just about to hit that little store. Right to the right there, that area, they will have Figment in there, and it's awesome. It's as good as advertised. It was really cool. He gave me a hug. Nothing inappropriate like Lonnie had happened to him. But yeah, getting the hug Figment was like one of the coolest experiences at Disney. It's just so fun.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Speaking of Epcot, have you all heard that Star-Lord is meeting in Epcot?
No.
I don't know if this is true or not. I'm just asking. Have you heard this?
I have not heard that, but that is awesome if it's true.
Okay. I felt like I heard this somewhere, but then I wasn't sure. So I'm not trying to spread false rumors here, but it would make sense, right? I mean, they've got all that space over there, and you can do that photo pass. With not the real Groot, but like they superimpose the Groot in the picture. So there's got to be space over there for a meet and greet with a character.
Yeah, for sure. It would be really cool if they brought him and like Gamora together or something to meet people.
They've been out at the races a lot. They were out at Wine and Dine, and they were out at Marathon weekend on the marathon, I believe. So they've been at the races.
You know what they really need to bring to the parks? The universe's greatest hero, Thanos. If there was a Thanos meet and greet, I would wait in line for that guy for sure.
Guys, we've been back on now that it's dark at 3:00 in the afternoon. We've been back on our watching our movies again. So I don't know what episode I'm on, but you should all be proud of me. I'm watching them again.
Good, as you should. It's such an awesome story.
Yeah, but they're sometimes they take a lot of thinking. So
yeah. And then the other, well, they do, which is good and bad. Yeah, especially if you're trying to watch it with a bunch of children and people are like, "Hey, what's happening?" I'm like, I can't do it. Watch it by yourself. Um, you can also too, like, check if you have a Chase Disney Visa card, which I think a lot of our listeners do. They have a spot in Epcot where you can go and meet characters there, and it's kind. I think it rotates because every time I've been in there, I'm pretty sure it's different. But it's cool. It's a nice way to get out of the shade because it's in a room where in that little tunnel, right? You know where it's at, Jody. Have you been there?
I have now with the new change of Epcot. I don't
Oh, that's
where
true.
it is because I don't even know the names of the lands anymore. Call them the
Yeah.
wrong thing still.
But that's a thing. I mean, check like your different credit cards and stuff, especially if they're Disney branded, and they may have a lot of unique character experiences because they used to have even in well, we'll talk about Hollywood Studios in a few minutes, but they had the Star Wars meet and greet over there for Chase card members too, which was really neat. But yeah, so Epcot, those are some really fun people you can meet over there and characters. Are there any other ones at Epcot that we missed? No.
Well, like Mulan is over in China, and you've got Aurora sometime is in
Germany, I think, right?
Snow White's in Germany. So you still have others.
Elsa and Anna's in Norway.
Oh, duh. Yeah.
Oh, how did we miss that one?
Fiesta.
That's like
That's what Jeff's here for, to remind us of Captain Obvious.
I think
Yeah.
sometimes Coco is in Mexico as well as Fiesta Donald.
Fiesta Donald, yeah.
Fiesta Donald is cool, yeah. Yeah. And they have him out with like a mariachi in that little area next to the pavilion. That's so cool. But yeah, we missed Anna and Elsa, which I don't that's the longest I've ever waited
Let me
for
guess,
a character.
John, is that one of your kids' favorites?
Yeah, it is. When first time we took Kara, Frozen was like at its peak, right? It just come out, everybody loved it. And yeah, we waited, I think, over an hour. I actually left breakfast early so I could like sprint back there because we got a reservation it was actually at Akershus. So I like ran across from, it's like right across the hall there or whatever. You got to go around the little Greek Norse gods display house. And yeah, and I still had to wait like an hour. It was crazy. But the things we do for our kids, right?
Any others that we're missing?
I think that's it. So, okay. So let's jump over to Hollywood Studios and talk about that. I already kind of ruined the surprise there that we were going to be talking about. I know, by mentioning the Star Wars launch bay one that was in the back there. Now they have some really cool like artwork and stuff back there too from the different movies and movie posters from different places around the world and stuff. It was really neat when Dee and I were down there for the springtime surprise race last year. We went and checked that out. But yeah, there's some really cool dining over there too. Hollywood and Vine, it's like I always hear a lot of negative things about that place on different podcasts and stuff like that. My family loves it. I think the food isn't bad. I mean, it's basic breakfast food, right? It's a buffet, but so there's nothing, real exciting there, but just meeting the Disney Junior characters that you get to meet in the morning is awesome because there's that, and then there's a little courtyard over there, kind of by the launch bay, right, where you can meet the Disney Junior characters, but there's really nowhere else on property that you get to see those characters. So like, when Doc McStuffins was real big, and it's so fun in there. I really enjoy it.
I think that's the big thing is the Disney Junior characters because they're Vampirina and Doc McStuffins or Fancy Nancy or who else? Handy Manny or I can't.
Andy Manny was in there too for a while.
I mean, that's if you have kids who are into Disney Junior, that was the place to see them. So
yeah. And it's the same thing as like, some of the other restaurants, they give a lot of really good interaction with those characters, which is really cool. And then you can catch those characters too over at the play and dance party over in that courtyard. And that's really fun too. If you've ever done the Disney Junior dance party, I love it. It gets the kids moving around. It's super cute when they get fired up. And then, that one's less of a meet and greet. You just get to see them on stage, but it's still super cool. But also at Hollywood and Vine, they do mini seasonal dining for dinner. So, or lunch and dinner. So there you'll get to see some of the more, classic characters come through, Minnie and some of her friends. So that one, like I said, I think it's a good spot to go and have breakfast and meet some cool characters. So I can't think. I don't think there's any more restaurants at Hollywood Studios with characters. Is there? Does Woody's? It does not. Okay. Yeah. So some other cool places though that you can meet characters. Like I mentioned, in that courtyard with the Disney Junior stuff, they have a couple little areas set up. And I think one of them is Doc McStuffins and one's Vampirina over there. So they have their own little area, which is cool. So that's always fun, especially for the little kids. What else is at Hollywood Studios?
Oh, my favorite. Going down, you can see all the Incredibles characters. So Frozone, Mr. Incredible, Edna, kind of a rotation of characters down there. But that's, if you're leaving Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railroad, but you don't head down to Toy Story, you kind of go down that one-way alleyway, that kind of dead end. They're down there. And I don't know the name of that dead end. Jeff, you tend to know those things. What's the name of that dead end?
That used to be the Avenue of Americas, but I don't know what it's. Is it Pixar?
Pixar Way or no?
It's something Pixar, I think, but not 100%.
Pixar Place, maybe. Pixar Plaza, Pixar Lane. I'm just making up Pixar names.
I think everybody knows where we're talking about. Yeah.
Again, the Incredibles are back there, and also I've seen Sully back there before. Not Mike.
They're usually in the building, aren't they? Usually inside.
Yeah, with the glass windows there.
Outside. We have a picture with him outside, so I don't know, but just different characters are back there. That used to be the entrance of Toy Story
Mania.
Yeah, back in the day, a long time ago. So, but I don't think a lot of people go down there, but when you go down there, it's like, oh, there's all these characters all about. So it's a great place, in particular, if you're like our family who loves The Incredibles, that is a must do for us.
And that is really cool. And it's one of those things, like you said, it's if you love The Incredibles, that's awesome. And even, I like the movie and we had fun down there too. Another one though, so my favorite is the Green Army Men. Especially so they have the drum line come out, right? And they're funny and they're really good and it's just entertaining listening to them play the drums and march and everything. So that's always really cool to get to see coming through Toy Story Land. But you also have Woody and
Buzz.
No, oh yeah, Woody and Buzz, and then there's. My brain stopped working. And they'll meet people over by the entrance to Toy Story Land a lot, right by the giant Woody. So
those are very long lines to see those characters. And again, Toy Story Land tends to be very hot. So make sure you've got your cooling towels or an umbrella to keep you nice and cool.
Yeah, there's no shade over there.
No, but you could grab a cookie num while you're waiting in line and enjoy your time. So I think Bo Peep and all them used to meet out there. I don't know if she's still meeting. I always find her a little creepy. But anyway,
you find Bo Peep creepy.
Yes.
Wow. Well, we're gonna have to get into that another time, I think. But I'm very curious about this.
Well, it's kind of like how Lonnie thinks that the genie, when he's out, meeting at races and stuff, he thinks that the genie is creepy.
Interesting. Now, do you think a person dressed up as the character is creepy, or the character herself in the movies is creepy? No,
I just think the representation of the character when you go to meet the character at the parks is creepy.
Okay. That was I was just curious, really. As you move through Toy Story Land, though, after meeting a creepy Bo Peep, and possibly Woody or Buzz, you're going to head into Galaxy's Edge. And I think this is where some of the best character experiences in all of Disney World are. It's amazing in there. Like, we were walking around, the kids had on their, I think Kara had like a Ray t-shirt on, and the stormtroopers stopped us and started interrogating her and asking her if she was part of the resistance. And it was just so cool. And she kind of played along with it a little bit to a point until she got scared because, she was young, but it was really cool. And then one time I was standing there just looking on my phone at like Fast Passes or something, and Ray ran up to me, like kind of hid behind me and said, "You never saw me," and then she ran off, and it was the neatest, like weirdest little thing, but so fun. Like you could tell she was kind of hiding from the Empire, and
And Tim's favorite character is often able to be spotted in that area.
Chewie.
Hmm. They
That's
bond.
really cool.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it's like you got the stormtroopers walking around. You've got Rey and Chewie and all these cool characters. And then you see like just them marching through there, and I love the way they mess with kids. It's one of my favorite things. And they seem to know too. Like when a kid like Caleb was very shy, and they started talking to him, and it wasn't going the way they wanted, so they kind of moved on really quickly to the next kid, which I thought showed really good, like that's some really good character work by those cast members to kind of keep in character but still not push a kid past their limits. It was just, I don't know, I always thought that was really cool.
Yeah,
All right.
it's good back there.
Yeah. Okay, so another place you can go to meet characters would be over at Animal Kingdom, and they have some really good dining options there. Well, a really good dining option there, right, for meeting characters is Tusker House. That is, I mean, I would go there without the characters because that food is just amazing to me. Kara still, and she is a really good cook. She still says it was the best salmon she ever had in her life was at the
Wait a
buffet.
minute.
Second,
Not my house.
well, your house was a very close second, Jody, and I think maybe the love pushed it over. But
Crosby
from the
loves
restaurant,
salmon the most.
yeah, he would crush it. He still likes it to this day. Actually,
See?
we had salmon tonight for dinner, and he ate quite a bit of it because he loves it. But Tusker House, they have such a cool buffet. But what I like about it is you get to see like Safari Mickey and Safari Donald, and that to me is super cool. I love seeing them in kind of those alternate costumes.
I agree. The food's really good there. I like the characters there. I don't feel like you're super rushed. At least we've never been super rushed. I like seeing the characters.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool, and
Jeff,
the
you
food.
eat there? You've eaten there, right?
No, I have not.
What?
I have
You've
not.
never eaten at Tusker House? We need to fix that.
Because you're too busy just sitting at the lounge.
I do like my Nomad Lounge. I can watch the flotillas of characters through there. Does
That's
that
true.
count?
Those are
Does
fun
that count?
Sure. I mean, why not, right? I'd rather be in there with a leaping lizard too, watching them float by. So Animal Kingdom, you always see Kevin walking around, which is the bird, right, from Up. And although I don't like that movie and I think it's terrible and depressing, I do like Kevin, and I think she's a really awesome character. And I just like
speaking of that movie, you often see Russell too,
Yeah.
over on Discovery Island. So,
that's true. Yep.
or Russell or Doug or both together. And what's the name of the Divine? Is that her
Divine.
name? Yeah.
Divine, yeah.
Yeah.
She is super cool to see.
Yeah.
If you can see her.
That's it, because she blends in with all those trees, and just even the way she moves and stuff is super cool. That's a really fun thing to look for. So is she always over in that area with the world, like the trails?
I've only
I don't
seen her
think I've
once.
seen her in-
That she was in that area whenever I've seen her.
Yeah, I've seen her once or twice, but only over there, which makes sense because I mean it's pretty dense foliage, leaves, a lot of leaves, mostly green over there, so she can kind of blend in. Oh man, Rafiki's Planet Watch. I've never actually done this one. Can you meet them there? Yeah, I don't know why. I love the planet and I love Lion King. Just never put the two together.
I love the planet.
It's our home.
Glad you love the planet. That's good to know. I don't know that there's any characters out there. Jeff, are there any characters out there? Is Timon out there?
I don't think so.
I don't remember.
I only go out for the drawing and come back.
Yeah, it's been quite a while since I've been out there, but I don't remember any characters out there. But maybe. I don't know.
I don't remember either. Well,
We're such podcasts. We don't know.
there is another place you can meet some characters is over at the Adventurers Outpost. So that's like a dedicated building and room that you can go in to meet characters, and I think it's usually Mickey and Minnie in there. But that's really cool. And like I said, back in the Fast Pass days, or if you get the one of the other passes nowadays that they have, those newfangled things that you do on your phone, you can get you can get a spot reserved to be able to do that quickly without missing out on other rides. So typically I'll let the kids go do that and I'll do something fun. But everybody's got their thing. So yeah, that's a fun way to meet characters too. All right. Well, there's a lot outside of the parks too. So what are some of your favorite character restaurants outside of the parks? Jeff, do you have any?
I like Ohana's breakfast. Lilo and Stitch are always a joy to see, and I think what is it? Mickey and Pluto are there as well. I think usually.
Yep. Yeah, that's one of our favorites too because we love Stitch. It's such a cool experience, and then you can have a Lapu Lapu too, which really just elevates any experience. So yeah, that one's a really good one.
I mean, we were only 40 minutes in the episode before John said Lapu Lapu. So whoever had that on their bingo card just won.
I introduced my daycare lady to it over the weekend, and she loves it. So, yep, Miss Kristen, she's on board with the Lapu Lapus now.
What else do we have? We have Chef Mickey.
Ooh, never been.
Listen, I think everybody gives Chef Mickey a bad rating. But in my opinion, if you want to go see the Fab Five and you kind of want to check that box and you don't want to deal with it in the parks, like if you have a non-park day and you want to meet them, it's a little chaotic, it's a little loud, but it's a great place to go and see them all. And it's a buffet. You're going to find something there you like, right? There's got to be something.
I really am. I'm shocked that I've never been there, especially with, I think next time I go, I will take Crosby for sure because he loves Mickey. But yeah, I want to check it out. Man,
You've been right to Chef
what?
Mickey?
Oh,
Jeff?
Yes, many times.
Yeah. I mean, the food is not California Grill, but
the food is pretty substandard. Actually, I'm not a big fan.
You're gonna find. I think you're gonna find something there that you enjoy.
I would say you're more than likely going to find something there you eat. Enjoy is a strong word sometimes.
It has no storybook. What is that thing that we did in California? That breakfast.
Oh, that was so good. Storybook dining, yeah.
Storytellers, right? That was probably the best character
breakfast,
actual food, character dining meal food I've ever had. And I really kind of like Garden Girl's breakfast. I love that. Well, they don't have the cinnamon roll anymore, so maybe not as much. But anyway, that was probably the best character meal food I've ever had in my life. It was really good. But anyway, I digress. I would say I've never been to Cape May for breakfast with characters. Have you guys?
No, but I want to because like the nautical theme, I think it would be cool. Yeah, that one because Mickey and Minnie are both there, right?
I don't know.
I think one, but not the other. Maybe somebody's missing out of the Fab Five. I can't remember who.
Because that's over at is it at Beach Club or Yacht Club? I know it's at one of them.
Beach.
Okay, yeah. So at Beach Club, one bad thing about staying there is you smell all that seafood. But also a good thing about staying there is there's all that seafood. So, but yeah.
While you're in that area, you also have one of the lesser known one is the Garden Grove over at the Swan or Dolphin. I'm not sure which one it is.
Oh,
did not know that, huh?
No, I didn't know that.
It's only certain nights. It might be like Tuesdays and Fridays, something like that, or at least it used to be. It's been a long time.
Wow. Well, that's a good tip because that one's probably less known because it's not.
It's very much so.
Yeah, it's not.
And it's always empty.
That's a good one. Another one that's really fun is 1900 Park Fair. So over at the Grand Floridian, that one they recently changed it up. So now that they used to have Alice in Wonderland was for breakfast, and then for dinner they had the stepsisters from Cinderella. So that was really cool, and like I think I mentioned it earlier, they were a super fun experience. The new characters they have there are Aladdin, Cinderella, Mirabelle, and Tiana, which seems like a very random mix of characters, But honestly, when we were there, we loved it because Jody, to your point earlier, there's not a whole lot of places you can meet some of the prince or male heroes from Disney. So having Aladdin there was really cool, and he talked to the kids and stuff, and that was really fun. Um, and Tiana is like Chelsea has the American Girl doll, like everything has to be about Tiana and watching Princess and the Frog. So that was really neat. And then like even Mirabelle came up to Carly after our dinner when we were kind of like paying the tab and getting everybody together to walk out. And because Carly had told her she was her favorite from Encanto. So she came over and taught Carly this like little secret handshake and then did like a butterfly at the end. And I mean, it made Carly's night. That's all she talked about the rest of the time was like how Mirabelle showed her how to do it. And, she's special because Mirabelle came and found her to do it. It was just the neatest little thing I've ever seen.
Really neat.
Yeah.
I do miss the more unique characters that they had there because I think that was one way to see some different, like Anastasia and Gisela, and the evil stepmother and all that stuff. I kind of liked that, but speaking of things that have gone away that I miss, there's one that I really really miss, and it's over at, oh my gosh, not Topolino, the Trotta.
Trattoria Al Forno.
Tutorial, yeah,
Yeah, the
whatever
one
that word is, El Forno. Yeah,
they had
Rapunzel and Flynn Rider.
yeah.
and Ariel and Eric. Why they haven't brought that back? I mean, talk about prince and princess, and the food was decent, but the character interaction, and I love Flynn. We all know this.
Yeah.
So that was the place to meet Flynn, and I could swoon a little bit, and it was just great. And
Yeah,
that's I really am sad that since COVID they haven't brought that back because that was really one of my favorites.
we loved it too. We went there twice, and the second time we went was not long after we had put down one of our dogs, and so Caleb was still really upset about it. And Eric started talking to him. To your point about like the prompts earlier, Eric asked him if we had any pets, and Caleb kind of started crying a little bit. And so they talked for like probably 30-45 seconds back and forth a little bit. And he was like, well, I have my dog. And he's like, I'm so sorry that happened to you and all that kind of stuff. It was just really cool. Like he handled it so well. And again, with the cast members, just seamlessly transitioned from happy, talking to kids to like, hey, I'm going to make this kid feel a little better. So it was just, God, they're so good at that.
They are. Yeah. But another unique one that I don't think gets talked about a lot is storybook dining over at Wilderness Lodge, where Jeff, one of the characters that you mentioned very early in the episode, who, you would want to be friends with.
Dopey.
Yes. So I know that one gets booked a lot on Marathon Weekend. But to be able to see the Evil Queen and Grumpy, which, we like to go there for Tim, that's kind of another unique. That's what I like about that one. I mean, don't get me wrong, Mickey and Minnie and the Gang are great, and I think you have to have a Chef Mickey and places like that. But that's what I liked about why can't I think of the name of that place?
Trattoria Al Forno?
Thank you, that place. That's what I liked about it. It was a little more unique, and that's what I liked about the old 1900 Park Fair. Was it was a little more unique. Kind of hard to find characters. But I do think that storybook dining is one of those that still has, at least it's dinner only, but still a little on the rare side there, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, and the food there is amazing. Like I've always loved everything I've gotten from there, and their drinks are really inventive and fun. And then at the end, they give you the box with like the candy or whatever in it, and it's smoking. It's just really cool.
We had a terrible server there the night we went, who was kind of made our experience not great. She was just not nice and not friendly. So how sometimes that just kind of puts a damper on the experience.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'd like to try it again.
Well, another really good one is Topolino's Terrace. And even though it's common characters like Mickey and Donald and Daisy, they put a really unique spin on it by having them sing the Italian song, and they're in like their painter's gear, and it's a really unique outfit that they're in, and really fun to kind of see that. And they do a whole show where they dance around the restaurant, and then they come around and meet everybody. So it's that one to me is really good too, because the food is amazing. on top of being like a really cool view too from up at the top of the Riviera, and you can see Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom, and it's really fun.
That's breakfast only, though, correct?
Yeah, that they do the characters. Yeah,
So I'm going to throw a question because I think we've covered everything, right?
I think so.
So I'm going to throw a question out to you two. Right, this is not prompted. You have no idea that I'm going to ask
Oh,
this.
boy.
If you were going to add one character dining, what character would it be? You don't even necessarily have to say where, unless you kind of know. But what characters would you have represented as a character dining experience?
I think a lot of the characters are designed for the younger female audiences, like the younger audiences or the female audiences. I'd like to see something more targeted towards the boys and the like, maybe the teens. So some sort of Marvel thing or other. I don't know how. I know there's licensing issues on East Coast, West Coast stuff there, but there's enough characters. It's been in the later phases that they can get people in there that kids would know. I don't know where I'd put it, but I think I'd like to see something like that for some of the older.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the first place my head went to, was something like that, where there's Marvel characters, the Avengers walking around, something like that, or like over in Animal Kingdom, do like a Black Panther one. Something like that could be really awesome.
John, that is not the answer I thought you were going to go with.
You thought I was going to go with Bluey, huh?
No,
What'd you think?
I thought you were going to go with a Toy Story answer.
Oh, that would be fun, but yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of that at first. I thought of Marvel for just the excitement
I
of it.
think Toy Story would also be a great one because it's not girl heavy, or it's kind of
Yeah.
and there's so many movies now that they've been going on for forever and ever and ever, that like our grandparents and grandchildren all know it, and we don't even have grandchildren yet because there's so many of those movies. So I just think that's an obvious one. And when they built that new restaurant in Hollywood Studios, I was like, oh, they've got to do a character meet and greet in there. I was shocked that they didn't. Seems like a no-brainer to me. So
No, you're right, and they already have the space for it and everything, and they have the characters because those costumes are used walking around. So I don't know. You're right though. That would be super fun. I don't know. There could be a lot of different.
it's not like I'm like the world's biggest Toy Story fan. I just think
Yeah,
I agree with you all. There's a lot of female heavy. That's why I think why I liked when there was Rapunzel and Flynn and Ariel and Eric, where not that I'm trying to go back in time and say it's got to be like it used to be, but you've got to have some stuff for people who want to see not just princesses.
Do you guys ever go to Liberty Tree whenever it was a character meal?
No,
I've
I've never been there at all.
They had like the Americana kind of vibe to their characters.
Oh, like the Colonial Mickey, or like, yeah, that would be cool. That would have been really cool, actually, because we've seen them out at I think at the races, right? When you go through that area, I can't remember. All right, well,
what about you, Jody? What would you bring in besides just Toy Story, or would you find a way to throw them up and stuff there?
Well, oh my gosh, if they had a Muppets dining experience, I mean, I would probably have to. No, I don't think I can move to Florida, but it would be really tempting to like move and get a job there and have to be friends with them all the time. So yeah, I don't know. I just was curious what your answers would be. I hadn't thought about it myself. I just thought I'd throw it out there to the two of you. So
okay, fair. All right. Well, we covered a lot of we talked a lot about character meet and greets there. If there are any that you guys think are really awesome that we didn't talk about, come over to our Disney with the Ducks Facebook page and let us know, or tell us what your favorites are. What are your favorite character meals in each of the parks, and what are your favorite character stops to make that you need to go on every trip. So we'd appreciate that if you'd come over and share some of your thoughts with us too. But now we're going to get into something really fun, and we're going to quack up with the ducks. But all right, so Jeff, before you disappear again, how are you going to make us quack up?
We're heading into the Christmas season now, and I had a problem whenever I was little that I kept eating the ornaments and stuff off our Christmas trees. And they took me into the doctor the one time because I ate too many of them, and they said I had tonsillitis.
Jeff, with all the things that you've had, I'm not surprised.
Right?
It's so bad that it's good. Oh man! All right, Jody, do you got a joke?
What's wrong with that so bad that it's good? Why couldn't the 2 elephants go swimming?
I don't know why.
Because they
They
only
didn't
had
have their trunks.
no, they only had 1 pair of trunks between them. It's a math joke, Jeff. It's 2 pairs of elephants.
You saw me doing math as storytellers, Jody. It doesn't work.
Why couldn't 2 elephants go swimming? See, that was it.
Yeah,
Got it.
so
It's bad when you have to
one
explain
pair
jokes.
of trunks.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Wow. All right, I'm gonna try to redeem us.
Yeah,
So it's like it went from nice fall weather to bitterly cold, horrible winter weather in the Detroit area here in the last couple of days. And we even had some snow the other day, which was really cool. And it got me thinking, what do they call snowmen in Hawaii?
Water.
Water. Yes.
an Olaf joke.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. We really appreciate all of you that listen and support us and have been listening to the show for 144 episodes now. So if you could please, if you haven't before, go out and give us a review. Jody, we want 5 stars, not 2, Jody.
I was trying to get the
Trying to get
balloon.
the balloons, yeah. But no, come over and give us a review, leave us a 5-star rating, and then head over to our Facebook page and take part in some of the fun conversation we have over there. But Quaharini, everyone.
Thanks, friends.
Bye, friends. Gene's not here to give us our disclaimer. We're in big trouble.
Well, we're gonna let the lawyers handle that at a later date,
Those
right?
poor-
I mean, that's why you pay those retainer fees.
I know.